My name's Charlie Ballantine. I'm a jazz guitarist in Indianapolis. You can find me on my website, charlieballantine.com, or on Instagram, Facebook. You just type in my name, those tags pop up. And also I have music on iTunes, Spotify, several albums online. If you want to check that out. Let's see, the first time I can really remember like having kind of a goosebump moment listening to music, I was driving, I think, from Indianapolis to Kokomo with my grandma, and she was probably just like, yeah, you know, this kid's gonna be a nightmare to drive like an hour with, so I'll get him some tape at like CVS. So we stopped at a CVS and they had like cassette tapes, and she got me a Beach Boys Greatest Hit. And I was probably 5, 6 years old, and I remember just like putting that tape in and hearing those harmonies, hearing those hooks and stuff, and that was it for me. I realized like in that moment, you know, that's when I started digging for music. You know, I got like every Beach Boys thing I could find because I was like 6 years old, and that's all I knew that I liked at that point. But it led me to just really appreciate music as a listener and realize that I had an affinity for music that a lot of people didn't have. You know, it was the first time I realized, oh, like I'm, you know, maybe a little different than my friends who aren't getting this at an early age or aren't, you know, as obsessed with this. And so yeah, that was, I think I have Brian Wilson to thank for realizing at a very young age that, you know, this was definitely a life that I wanted to live. I was kind of a late bloomer as far as like playing and being a musician. When I was pretty normal, just like into sports as a kid. And when I was 15, my dad is a musician, and I remember asking him for a guitar for my 15th birthday, and he gave me a Stratocaster on top of like, you know, a ton of albums, Jimi Hendrix, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jeff Beck, Led Zeppelin, Clapton. You know, just pretty much like a history of rock encyclopedia. So I had all this incredible material and this new guitar, and I remember, you know, just getting pretty obsessed with it to the point that it was like my schoolwork and, you know, hanging out with friends, everything kind of took a back seat, and I just kind of couldn't wait to get done with school and just like get home and figure out a new song or a new scale, or just it was the type of thing where it's like 3, 4 o'clock to like 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I was just messing around with this guitar, and since I did start at such a late age, I felt the need. It's like, oh man, I need to catch up. I really need to. I was pretty competitive about wanting to get better. And as far as being a musician goes, what really hooked me was like Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan. That kind of thing is what gave me the guitar bug. It was just hearing those guys and what they were able to do, the dexterity, the speed, you know, just the flashiness of it all, especially Hendrix. I remember seeing Woodstock, and then also seeing, you know, the video where he lights his guitar on fire, and that was all part of it for me. It wasn't just music. I was very drawn to that theatrical aspect of the guitar. I wasn't going to play bass or anything that was kind of in the background. It was always going to be kind of the forefront. And I'd say a few years later, when I went to IU, I got very into jazz just because of the people I surrounded myself with. The music school down there, I was surrounded by the best jazz musicians my age in the Midwest and a lot of times the country. So they got me into like Coltrane, and I knew about Wes Montgomery from being in Indianapolis and stuff, but it really just kind of expanded my my knowledge of jazz through not just guitar, but like Miles Davis, Coltrane, Freddie Hubbard, all these just incredible musicians that have such an expansive group of albums and music. It still feels unlimited. Like I've heard so much Coltrane, but I mean, the dude there's so much there that you can really listen to that stuff for a lifetime. So that's what kind of gave me the jazz itch to really pursue that as a medium for music. The newest album, Vonnegut, which is it's a compilation of songs performed by Indianapolis musicians that are each piece is dedicated to something in one of Kurt Vonnegut's novels, and that one's going to be released at the end of September. I think September 26th is the street date on that. We have a couple singles out though, and videos that people can check out. We're doing some tour dates. We originally had kind of a tour set up for that record that's dwindled down to maybe 10 dates and not necessarily associated with that record, but we're just kind of traveling around the Midwest, and all that stuff's on my website if people are interested. We'll be live streaming most of those as well, since that's a big new thing that I'm kind of excited about. I like the idea of being able to go to like upstate New York or something and have our Indianapolis and our Midwest people kind of keep track of us still. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to tune in.